We're toying around with whether we should call it workstay because it's not really work, it's more like play. Generally what actually happens is people come down, they stay, they have somewhere to stay, we feed them. Everyone shares in on cooking, dishwashing, and whatever projects that are happening at the time. But what ends up happening that people have observed is they get pulled into this really nice zone, kind of community vibe thing where things just flow really nicely, and I don't know, it's just a really neat experience. Hardened city folk who have never ever been to a farm would find this really, really invigorating. There are a bunch of friends who have come to do workstay. George Justice, who I've known from early 80s. Since that time, he's become a Tai Chi instructor, a yoga instructor, a yoga massage therapist, all kinds of cool stuff, and he's been sharing all that with everyone.
I've known Damon and Raven for about 35 years, and we lost touch over like the last decade or so, and then thanks to Facebook we reconnected, and just one thing led to another, and they said, hey, come on up for a week and have a blast. So I have been working and playing and having a great time with the people up here.
Jean-Luc has come by fairly recently, just before the whole party of people came, and he came with his dog Ponyo. Jean-Luc has been traveling through Canada and doing workstays everywhere, and when he got here, he was telling me a little bit about himself, and he's worked as a baker and a chef. I think his last job was in a pizzeria. So he was telling me about all his background and also as a builder, and then he said that he builds pizza ovens. And I asked Jean-Luc, I said, would you be against doing another pizza oven? And he smiled right away and said, yeah, I'd totally be into it. So Jean-Luc is building us a pizza oven. So Leon came with his sister and joined the group just a little bit later. Leon has been traveling through Canada for the year. I think he's getting kind of close to the end of his stay and going back to Germany. But he stayed with us in the winter. I guess enjoyed hanging out so much that he decided to drop in on his way back through.
I'm Stacey Burr from London, Ontario, and I came up here with William Windecker, who is getting a tattoo, and I came up to get another tattoo and also be part of their workstay program.
Somehow in the loop I got asked to come do some tree work for them, so I said, yeah, why not?
Stacey, we've known since the early 90s. Will, we've only gotten to know a little bit more recently. Will loves his comics, and Thanos is the character that he loves enough that he wants on his body.
I got introduced to him in '96 when he came out in the comic book series. Damon is an artist. So when most people go, I want, like I said, okay, Thanos, and they'll go and they'll find the picture and I want this. That's not Damon, right? Because any tattoo artist can draw out what you just showed them, stencil it in, and follow the lines.
I don't normally do superheroes, although I did do work on Nightcrawler way back. I always try to find a way to work my style into it.
He'll think about it, he'll make sure you know what you want in basis, and you let him do it. That's where his magic comes in, because now you're allowing an artist to put art on you.
I've done Thanos pretty well to the code. We've now got most of Thanos finished except for the color. Then I get to jump in and do my sacred geometry background patterns.
I'm Patty Smith. I came up from Hamilton, and pretty much about 80% of the reason that Stacey did was to do workstay, come up here, decompress.
Well, Patty started as a client. She had a lot of healing that she was working on in her life. Long story short, things have unfolded massively, and she's been doing all kinds of things that she never thought she'd be doing.
I just sort of came up and said, my hands are here, whatever you need.
Yeah,
and,
every single muscle in our body, you can feel it. Every single one of them. We're using muscles we haven't used in years.
Are you kidding, man? At the end of 3 days, I picked up a log that was about 50 pounds, and that was my vanity throw swipe. I threw it up over my head, and I couldn't do that last week.
We have very, very good friends who are indigenous to this area. They basically gave us their old teepee covering and told us you need this many 30-foot logs that have to be a certain thickness at the base and a certain thickness at the top.
Everybody here, there's 9 of us, we got involved into getting their teepee ready by debarking. Me, Stacey, and Patty went into the woods, barked up wood, dug it out of the bush, brought it up so it could be split.
It's a community venture, so it really involves you physically, mentally, emotionally, on all levels with other people, and just realizing, you know, we're part of a bigger collective because none of us could do it by ourselves.
The work isn't work. It's physically demanding. The logs are between 50 and 40 or 50 pounds each. And you pick up a couple and you think, oh my God, this pile is so huge. And it just disappears. It's not like work, it's not like a job. It's a chance to meditate, connect, meet new people, and
Cooperate.
Everybody up here that I've met, there's an instant connection. It's like everyone sort of vibrates around the same level.
Yeah.
We just got into a zone. Everyone talked about it later. It was just absolutely a glorious experience. What were we doing? We were just technically, physically shaving logs, which doesn't sound like it's any great thing, but we got into such a good vibe. The larger dream of this place is evolving, so there's no concrete, exact template. One thing we're encouraging is the energy that we're experiencing here for this week.
If you know Damon and Raven long enough, they have an attitude that most people don't have. And it's community, is I hear a lot from them. But whatever you want to call it, people just pitch in because it's a good natured environment.
We want something that flows, that doesn't have a specific boundary that just kind of grows on its own, but there are guidelines for sure. Something that pulls people in and integrates them with the land.
It's been a really good connection coming back to kind of like original human nature here and expansive human nature of connecting with other people, creativity, necessities. Like it's amazing up here in a few days what a spectrum of different things we're exposed to and involved in.
You come up and you're the long drive, and then you get here and you're all like hyper, and you know, and then it goes away after a couple hours, and then by day 2 you're like even less, and then now I'm totally relaxed. You know, it's just everything's gone, and you know, you feel grounded.
I want people to almost walk into a storybook that could almost seem like fantasy land, but it's not an escape fantasy. It's to engage that childlike wonder. So the ideal thing is that people walk into this environment and everything becomes possible. They get in touch with their inner child and get into a very creative mode. Whether it's work or play, it can all be creative, it can all be fun. Raven refers to the meditation of cleaning up alpaca poo. You know, it's a chop wood, carry water thing. It's a super simple thing. You'd think it would be monotonous and boring, but it's actually, do that first thing in the morning and it clears your mind.
I guess what I'm taking away, aside from like friendships, meeting and going through, is something a little more esoteric. It's just lifting the soul.